Hey guys, how you doing? I wanted to come back on and share some really powerful stuff with you, mind-blowing stuff from a higher vibe. I, I sometimes I'm conscious that I can get into the lower voice when I'm just in that, that sort of gratitude, relaxed mode. But I want to try and keep this high vibe and. I'm going to entitle this video something like the most important video I've ever made, and it will be. And I would really, if you've clicked on this, I know it's your higher guidance that has directed you to do that. So I'd really love you to listen to the end. I'm going to be coming in with some super powerful stuff, all jokes aside, serious stuff, and but amazing stuff and powerful stuff and incredible stuff and things that I have known for a long time in myself, but I've been frightened to talk about. I'm going to be sharing some things that are really going to help people on these paths. Things that I have not realized, I guess, that I still didn't want to talk about, but now I do. Something happened to me 2 days ago that was a very powerful experience, and it was kind of that moment where I just went, what am I doing? Like, I'm just really not fully anchoring in my higher divine power and light and sovereignty, and it's time that I just didn't give a fuck about what a lot of things going on and other people are saying, or situations, or whether people and for me it's not always about what other people say or anything. It's more about, do people believe my experiences, or do people, and then I realize that I'm not here to convince people. I'm here to share it with people, and then it's up to them if they want to take my wisdom from that and my experience that I've learnt from that, or that I've tapped into and remembered from that, and apply that to themselves in their own path, their own divine connection, etc., as to helping them. And if you're still here, I just want to say a couple of things I'm going to mention through this is really going to help shift a lot of stuff and blocks in you that I have discovered over the last 6 months I still carried. And if you're a divine feminine listening to this, please, stay tuned, because there's so much I feel I can help the divine feminine and the masculine with what I'm going to say, because also from the standpoint that I think the divine feminine in lots of cases has not realized a lot of things like I hadn't realized a lot of things. And there is a lot of us out there that have been working on this path for a long time. And I say working creatively, I mean, whether it's coaching or just on YouTube or doing things on social media and whatever, seminars, lots of people doing things like that. And it can appear that a lot of the divine feminine are in their divine power, or enough to be able to anchor in, their union, or anchoring something else, and it's like, okay, what's going on? Where is it? And what I discovered in myself, and then I looked around and thought, oh, wow, I feel this is what a lot of divine feminine are doing too, and not realizing. So, and this also then works for the masculine if you're a male listening to this, because your feminine reflects, the feminine's magnetic, your electric, the masculine is electric. So the feminine is in every way she does anything, her thoughts, her actions, energetically, that is mirroring to you, and energetically it's going to, so making sense is what I'm trying to say of listening to this, if you're listening to the situation, because you're really both the same, and so as we know, what we put out is what we get back. We are magnetically attracting that. Everybody is, obviously, to a point energetically, because whatever frequency you're aligning with at the time is what's going to come into your energetic field. So I'm not going to get into the whole, quantum physics of this, the quantum fields, the different timelines and all that. I'm just going to share some stuff with you, and I just want to get started with it. So for me, one of the first things I want to say is that I have recently realized maybe not recently, maybe in the last 6 months, that I have been the runner. And when I say runner in this, so I'm going to talk about my experience, my connection in the terms of, like, if you're not in a divine connection with another, or you don't think you are, or whatever, I mean, still you can listen, because this is going to apply to everybody. But I probably worked it out about last year sometime, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. And then I realised that we're both mirroring each other, so I knew that we're both running. And then I worked back to when that first happened and how that happened, and I was going through everything, and I was kind of clearing out and all that sort of stuff. And then I realised that every divine feminine that has a sacred partner here at the moment, that is here in a divine sacred connection for divine marriage and sacred union, is, if they're not in union, they are running, because that's what's reflecting. So we can say that there is every part of us, oh, we've cleared this or cleared that, and oh, we're it's him, it's not me, or if the boot's on the other foot, it's her, not me. But it's actually not, because the feminine is the magnetic one, and it can't be any other way. So deep down there'll be some wound or limiting belief or fear or doubt or insecurity that you may not realize, and that's energetically going out to your divine beloved, and that's what they're feeling. And I have some pretty powerful things to share later that will show you exactly why that's the case and how that works. But for now, I just want to say that moving forward, that we are here. If you're here in a divine connection with your beloved, it's time to step into that and share your experience and not fear what people are going to say. It's, for my experience, I held back because he went off. Like, we had our times where we were together and apart and together and apart and together and apart, and trigger, trigger city. And we went through a lot of shit, and did I know what it was all about? No. Did I understand it all? No. Did I open up? No. Did I accept the connection? No, not really. Like, I loved it and I knew it and I wanted it, but was I opening to accept it? No, not really. Was I in fear of it? Yes. Was I in fear of his power? Yes. Could I feel his extreme powerfulness? He's so powerful. I knew before. I didn't need anyone else to tell me, like as in any other reader or healer or anybody that's crossed my path along the way, even though a lot of people in spiritual circles have just randomly told me how powerful he is, and myself. But did I know that? Yes. Did I feel it from the very start? Yes. Was that what made me run? Yes. That, because it triggered so much in me. I didn't run from my darkness. I ran from the light. I ran from my light because I was so powerful. In that, sorry, I could feel. Well, yes, I know I am, but I could feel how powerful we are as a couple. I could feel how powerful we are as individual as well. But that connection, that divine sacred connection, and love is just so beyond anything on this planet. And I had felt that love growing up. I was so lucky that I had an experience that he was able to walk with me before he came into this physical world, because I am in this physical world in age. I am older than him. So, but I let that kind of get to me as a fear, even though I could see he was so wise and older So I could feel he was just so old, and he was like an old man, and he was so wise. And, you know, I still to this day, if I have to explain him to some people, like if they say, oh, you know, what's he like? I might say various things, but I always say how it's like he just talks like a master, like he's so profound with a couple of words or a few words or a sentence, and it just used to kind of knock me over, and then I'd be like, okay, like, you know, it's so powerful. And anyone listening to this in these type of connections probably can certainly relate. But what I wanted to just share is about the recognition and stepping into that recognition and owning it, because, you know, we do too much thinking and not enough feeling, and we can recognize it and we could feel it, and but it's about really stepping into it and knowing that it exists. And I know that may not sound right, like it might seem strange to say, well, how, you know, if you have a recognition of it, of course you know it exists. But what I find is that I think, or I feel, and what I see is that a lot of people on their spiritual path will be sharing an experience, and whether they're in a divine connection with another, whether they're sharing something else on their spiritual path, and they don't really fully embody the experience. They don't really fully embody the existence of it. And they might go off and talk the talk and say, oh yes, I'm on this divine path and I'm doing this, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But they're not really stopping and just feeling it and just being it, and just being in that beautiful love and connection, the existence of it, you know, the recognition of it. And I guess, you know, when people say people don't stop to smell the roses, well, it's the same sort of thing, you know. We can see it, and we can, you know, in our everyday life, we're doing things every day. And we could say, do we even really stop and be present in that moment? Do we even really feel that? So it's the same sort of thing. It's like, you know, I was thinking about it, and when you share these experiences with your beloved, I remember thinking the first time, oh my God, like time stood still. We weren't even on this planet, like everything just stopped, and anything outside of us didn't matter. And it's because we both came into the present moment. So a lot of people live in the past or they live in the future, and it's hard to live in the present. You have to be conscious of it every moment of every day, of living in the present. And what I found is that when I'm with my beloved, I don't have to be conscious of it. It just happens. It's something that just happens. I don't have to sit there and think, okay, oops, I've gone into the past now about this thing. Oh, hang on, now I'm going into the future. I don't even think of any of that. I'm just in the present. Obviously, if we're having a conversation and we're talking about something, you know, in the future or something that's happened in the past, well, you are recalling that. But, you know, most times I just feel totally present. And obviously at home, as everyone knows, it just makes you feel like you're home. But I just don't think or feel that a lot of divine feminines are really accepting the connection and really accepting the depth of it, the love, the honor, cherishing that, like the respect, giving to ourselves, because we know this is all an inside job. So what we create in our life is a manifestation and creation of our internal. So if we are creating any type of chaos or runner, chaser, anything like that, that's coming from us. And I just feel we need to create that space to be in the connection. You know, reflect on that. Step into the recognition of it and just be there and be it. And these are a lot of things and words that are never said. there's a whole lot of other spiritual narratives out there about, you know, how they work and the steps and the stages and the this and the that and the, you know, so much emphasis on unconditional love, which, yes, is definitely a major factor in the spiritual growth and with any type of relationship, union. But it also goes beyond that, and it's deeper than that. And I think there's a lot of indoctrination in the spiritual path that pushes people into other timelines and avenues and areas and aspects of spirituality that takes them off course. You know what? I feel that, and this is where I discovered that I had been a runner, because if someone had have asked me, was I running, I would have said no. Yet I probably feel about the last 12 to 18 months I've started to think, I think I need to relook at this. I'm not saying that my beloved isn't running too, but that's because it's a reflection of what I'm doing, because I'm the energetic, magnetic part of us. So what I realized is yesterday is, and I wrote this down, when we have no fear of if others believe our experiences or our stories or not, then can we fully embrace it and reach people authentically 100%? And that's serving the light. That's serving God, divine, source, creator. When people have no fear if others are going to believe their own personal experiences, then they can fully embrace it and reach people authentically with it. And what I mean by that is that when you have your own experience and you know it's real, then don't be afraid to share that, whether people understand it or not, whether people think you're nuts or not, whether people say something or, you know, because you've had the experience, not them. And not everyone in the world is going to believe, you know, what other people say, because they've not had that experience. And from the external physical world, let's take these connections, for instance, and I'll talk about my case because I do feel that I have kept quiet on a personal level out of maybe fear, but also, I guess out of fear, but also being more the runner and not facing it. And where I was the runner is that I knew from the start, you know, I won't say I knew what it was, but I knew the recognition, right? I mean, it took me years to figure out what is this, because I'd never heard of the term twin flames or twin souls or divine beloved or conscious connections, sacred unions, divine marriage. You know, I had not heard of those terms before, and I don't really use the term twin flames anymore because I feel it's been indoctrinated so much over the years now. But when I started way back, and it was years before I heard it, and I'm like, oh, and I knew at that time Spirit had to direct me to that, because when I read about it, and then I knew, you know, I could figure out what we had. But to me, we just had this most profound, incredible love and connection, and it was just off the charts, you know, and I could go into, like, don't get me started, because I could just talk about it forever. It's just so incredibly amazing. And that is why I guess I was running more, because it was very triggering, and it, like it does with all of us, you know, it brings up everything. And I won't get into all that because the people listening to this probably already understand how that all works. But for me, I had personal trauma to heal with the masculine from being a child, and I had, you know, other things to heal. And what I realized is that I got to a point where I didn't trust my divine beloved. And that's taken me years to heal, because I did used to trust him, even though my heart might not have been open fully to accept his love. And, I was kind of fearful of opening up in myself and really expressing so deeply. And that's energetically pushing him away. So what I wanted to share, something really quite profound, is you can be a runner but still be with your masculine. Okay, so when I was running, I wasn't necessarily like blocking him and not talking to him and ignoring him and running away. I was still in contact with him. I would still answer his messages if he messaged me. I would still meet up with him, and I would still spend time with him and share time with him. We went on a holiday, but I can tell now, I didn't at the time, that I was running in that holiday, even spending 24/7 together. So I think the perception when people talk about running is that you are physically doing all this blocking and all that, because, that's what a lot of people do. But you can still be a runner while you're in the connection, physically you're always in the connection, but I mean physically with that person. So, and running just means it because you're running from yourself. You're running from opening your heart. You're running from your own divine light, love, and the power of that. You're running from your sacred love and the sacred love and connection and divine union with your beloved. You're running from facing all that. You're running from your light. You're running from your path, like all of this. And when we're running from that, it makes it extremely hard for the other person to keep staying present in that connection, because energetically that's what you're putting out. And especially the feminine, being the magnetic one, you're going to magnetize to you the energy and the frequency from them of where you are. So what will happen is, if you're not being open and you're not being in that beautiful divine presence of the connection, in that sacred sexuality, in the presence of that, in that just everything that it embodies, if you're not embodying that, then I was going to say, I'll say this first, that's what they feel. But I was going to say, if you're not embodying that, obviously there is a reason why, and the fear or trauma and things that we've got to heal from. But it's also about, if you can have the awareness of it and still be there together but be transparent with it, then that's such a big step. So, but if you are in denial of it and you're not even, in a conscious, transparent state where you can say, okay, I feel like this, and this is why I'm kind of acting like this, and I don't know what to do about it at the moment, or I'm, something's coming up for me and it's really triggering, or whatever. If we can be open and honest, clear communication and transparent. So, a lot of us go through that, where we aren't, and so you can be definitely around your beloved and still running energetically, running emotionally, running internally. So I won't go into more of that, because that's kind of can be like a whole video on itself. But and I have some notes here that I really want to cover. I mentioned that a lot of the divine feminine suffer from the trust. They don't trust, and I've done in my other videos, I spoke about the last couple, about me getting to that place of really understanding the support of the masculine and opening to that. So I won't talk more about that in here, but I will say, because of that, it took me a long time to open to that, because I'm going to talk about some stuff that maybe the feminine, divine feminine don't usually talk about. But so when you have your divine partner go off with somebody else, lots of things, yes, go through, lots of things happen and go through your mind. But mainly when they go off, you can feel very betrayed. And again, it's a manifestation of what you're creating internally from yourself and running, and they feel that as pushing them away. So then they go off and do the same thing and then push you away. And so for me, when my divine masculine went off to be with another person in another relationship, I felt very betrayed. And I felt, because in every part of me I knew and had known that we were here to be together. It was kind of like I had this full-blown recognition of a lot of stuff about us and our path and everything, but at the same time I think that's kind of what triggered me massively more to, as in the fear of stepping into that. So, and the reason I felt betrayed is because I felt that he was betraying our love and our connection and our path and, what we're here to be and share and spread that love. But what happened is she found out about me, and then it was a series of back and forth kind of emails and conversations, and within that I felt really stabbed in the back, because he felt like he sounded like he wasn't even the same person. He sounded like he was completely under a spell of some sort, and I won't get into all that, but it just really felt like, wow. And I just knew, my higher self was telling me things that I was connected in, and I could feel things, and so I let me just get some water here. Yes, so I felt, let me explain how I felt, because some people might be able to resonate with this out there. And I think we push it aside, but we really need to feel this, to clear this. And that's how I got to the point of being able to open to him more and bring that trust back in again and trust him. Open that energetically. So what happened was that in this course of communication back and forth that she was involved in as well, reading it all, he basically, denied everything as they do, and kind of sounded very different, like it wasn't him. It was a completely different person, as I said, and he just went into this energy that was just very weird and very strange, and there was a lot of hurtful things said. She kind of got right into it with wishing me dead and all this sort of stuff, and I did have the lashing out part, but it was more like I felt then I'd been stabbed in the back. And the whole way up until then, no matter what had transpired in our connection, physically and energetically, I'd still felt like I could trust him with my life. And I remember saying to him at this point, wow, I always felt I could trust you with my life, but now I can't. I really feel I can't. And I didn't know at the time when I said that why, but then I felt later that I really felt such deceived and such betrayal. And I knew there was never a moment I've never been one of these feminines that has gone back and forth of like, is he my divine masculine? Is he not? Is he not? I've always known he was. For me, it was more the fear of, can we do this? Are we going to do this or not? We're not going to do, and it was all a lot of other stuff, but I've never had that, that I know some divine feminines have. I just always knew that recognition. Did I always know exactly who we are and what we're here to do? No, Did I always know how to figure it out? Hell to the fuck no. Absolutely not. I know, and I don't think there's a divine feminine or masculine out there that would say they did. But so what happened is, I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I knew that we were meant to be together, and I knew to the extent of it all, but it just felt like, and it was me too. I know it's that that magnetic energy. We saw each other, we had time together, and then I didn't open up fully, and he ran again, and he ran into the arms of someone else, it was a pattern of his. He always used to run into the arms of someone else when I was pushing him away energetically. And so that's my doing, I know, but I had to forgive him, and I had to find that within my heart to forgive him for the betrayal. And I felt like he had not just betrayed me as a physical human being, but our soul and our light and our love and who we are at that higher aspect of us. And it took me a long time to shift through that. And so I didn't share my experience with anybody of what I felt, because I didn't honestly feel that anybody would understand it. Because over the years, so much of what I've seen out there and heard and read, and also experienced, like with coaching other women, I'd not really spoken to a lot of people that had had similar experiences to us in how deep the love and connection was. And like, we had a lot of really incredible, bizarre things happen, and I just felt that there was a lot that, because I was still coaching a lot of women that were like, oh, I don't know if this one's my twin or not, or if this one, so there was clearly different levels of where people were at in these divine connections. And so I hadn't shared a lot of that deeper stuff out there, but anyway, so I had to learn to forgive and realize and just really look at it and trace it back and realize where that came from and why I felt like that. And it was, it took a while, but it wasn't until I could do that then I could fully have that open to that support from my divine masculine and that energy, and open my heart more, because when that happened, I shut down more than ever and I ran. And it didn't look like I was running in the physical, but I clearly was. I was running. I even had someone say to me a few months ago, and I did not ask for a reading or anything, I just asked a question about something else, and then this beautiful friend of mine overseas said, okay, well, this is what I'm, I've asked a friend, and she didn't know me, and this is what I've got for you. And there was stuff about me, not necessarily about the question, a small part about the question, which I was so grateful for. Obviously, spirits come through, and that's what I needed to hear, and that really jolted me to realize a few different things. But one of it was this person said, and didn't know much about me or anything, but said, I can see this man behind her, that I know is her divine masculine. He's younger than her in age, but he's older than her in every other way. And he's holding his hand out to her, and like she has her back to him. And it's not the first time I have seen that in a vision before that Spirit has given to me. So I kind of knew that I had more work to do on us, in that why was it like that? Like, in every way I wanted everything, I love him, I want to be with him, I want the connection in the physical, like I couldn't understand it, so I had to work through stuff. And anyway, so that was a big part of it, working through actually being able to forgive him for his actions, because when they go off and do things in the physical, and what it appears in the physical is like totally something else is happening. And this is why it's hard for a divine feminine to share the experience and the connection, because they think, oh, people are just going to think I'm nuts because he's over there, with somebody else, and I'm here, and but that doesn't matter. Again, it's the 3D physical, and that is a manifestation of the work you're doing or not doing energetically yourself from internally. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. And I watched a movie. So this is what really surprised, like, it just blew me away basically. But I watched a movie a couple of nights ago, and my daughter messaged me and said, she lives in the United States now, and she said, "Hey, Mum, if you can find this movie, watch it." And we're so very, guided, like we know the paths we have, and we have separate paths, but we support each other. And this has been also, another interference where you have to be careful of people in other than your divine one and your divine beloved. When you are connected strongly to other family members or parents or children or whatever, that you have to make sure that you set that boundary and draw that line to stay on your own path and support the others, but not be entangled with the timelines of the others, because that can take you off your path, and that can create a lot of blocks in your path. And this is another thing I've had to learn. But anyway, so I went online, and I found it, and I was able to watch this movie. And I'll put in the link below what it was. It's quite powerful. I mean, it's not the best movie ever made, but it's really powerful in the story. It's a true story. And it's a movie about a guy that's a surfer. Scott Eastwood plays the main role. And I think it was produced in 2014. Yeah. Anyway, I won't go into the whole story, but he has a near-death experience in it, and he doesn't have faith. His mother does, because his mother's had experiences and has tried to teach him growing up from her experiences, to teach him in a higher power, to believe in a higher power, God, whatever label you want to put on it. And anyway, he doesn't believe, and so as he grows up, obviously, he then has his own experience. And from that incredible experience, which actually is quite incredible, you should watch it, he dies, obviously, he comes back, and from then on, he realises, oh my goodness, I've been given another chance. He gets spoken to when he passes over, and then when he comes back, he knows he has to share his experience with everybody and anybody to help people see of this higher power. And he goes on in life to get married and have kids, and he becomes a pastor, and he has shared his story with over 65 million people around the world, it says, and it's a really inspiring film. And it wasn't until I watched this film and it got to the end that it just like a light bulb went on for me, and I went, oh my fucking God. Like, I realize that we talk about being in our sovereignty and stepping into our power and being in our power, but it kind of just really hit home to me in that moment that we hold back sharing our experience of connection because we don't know if people will understand it or believe us or mock us or say we're nuts or crazy or laugh at us or whatever the reason. Do you know what I mean? And it can be painful when people do things like that. But when you get to that place of knowing your sovereign light, your true sovereign light and divine being you are fully, it's definitely like it's yourself first, and that's the reflection then where they can be that as well in themselves, and then that can come into that divine marriage and sacred union. Because when when the feminine is not scared of anything, of stepping into that power and not holding back, of being that light and serving the light that way, and not fearing of whether people believe it or not, but just sharing it. Because not everybody is going to believe it or understand it. Some are going to be jealous of it. Some are, whatever. So it really was like boom, boom for me. And I'm like, oh my God, So I wanted to share that story. And then the next day, I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place here with my notes. Sometimes I'm better not having notes, but I didn't want to forget anything. And so I will put the link for the movie below, but it really showed me the power of my light and the importance of sharing that experience, whether people believe it, understand it, laugh at it, whatever it is. I don't care. Like, I know 1,000,000% who we are here in this sacred connection to be, the love, the light. And I'm not running away from that anymore, I'm not running away from that. The love is too powerful and amazing to be running away from anything, And there's this other little thing that happened. Well, it's a big thing, actually. I woke up the next morning and I'm like, I really want to share a video and talk about this stuff. And I went over to the kitchen window and there was two crimson rosellas sitting on the fence. And I knew instantly this was divine just showing me. And they were a fair way apart. And one of them was coming towards the other and the other one was kind of walking away. And then they'd stop and then they'd come a bit more and then the other one would walk a bit further. And I thought, like my higher self was saying, this is kind of like it is, like the masculine moving towards and then I've been running and then, and then the other bird started to come back and the other one moved the other way and it's that back and forth. And then they both came closer together with only like inches apart. And in that moment, I started telepathically connecting with them. And I knew straight away, even with the colourings, when I looked closer I could tell, but I knew the male and I knew the female. And then they flew down into the bird bath. And it was just so magical. It was what I watched. So the male waited on the side and just kept guard and looked around while the feminine jumped straight in the water, fluttered around with her feathers and fluff, 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 It was so cute. And, she had a good old bath. She was in there for ages. And then I think he got sick of waiting, actually, because then after about a few minutes, he was looking around everywhere and then he's like hopped in. And then she got out and she was watching and for other birds. And then he had a go and then he came, but it was kind of funny because the male didn't stay in long because he just really wanted to sit back on the side and give her the time, and you could just see it and look around like he was looking around everywhere that no other birds were coming. So he was protecting her. And my higher self was showing me this and saying, see how he's protecting her. And then she got out, he had another little bath and then she was back in again. She really hogged the bath, actually. She was a hogger. And then she'd had enough and she's just like, as if to say, come on, let's go. And off she flew and he was right behind her. And I knew Rosella's, the spiritual representation of them was that they represented eternal love. But I was guided by my higher self to look it up again. And it says that Rosellas embody eternal love and devotion. And a pair of Rosellas are a sign of that yin-yang, male and female wholeness. And one or many Rosellas around indicates love and a shared journey. And I just thought it was just perfect. It was the perfect message. just that morning, you know, I was thinking I want to do a video to share my experiences, to be more outspoken about things and that I haven't in the past, to really help the divine feminine and masculine step more into their light and their power and not be afraid of that. Because, oh, let's face it, I'm going to be truthful. I can sit in my dark for weeks, but my light, you know, that's the power that I've been running from, you know. And I think a lot of people do, and they don't realize it. You know, they don't have that understanding and awareness of that, you know. So I think we need to do more feeling, not thinking. And like I said at the start, really step into that recognition that it exists and what you're feeling inside. You know, it's real. And my book, you know, shares a lot of experiences of when I was growing up and a teenager, of when he was traveling with me and how he showed me the love and all of that. There's incredible experiences in there about things that happen. And I did have an experience myself where, oh well, I won't go into it because that's for another video. But I've talked about different things that I put in my book, and because I was so consciously awake from the start as a child, felt like living between two worlds. I was connected to him. I always felt I didn't fit in, and therefore, I guess I wouldn't say I struggled with my identity. I thought that's what it was until recently I realized that I don't struggle with my identity. I know my identity. I had struggled with bringing that to the forefront in this physical realm and being that and stepping into that and stepping into my greater power. And because my beloved is so powerful as well, extremely powerful, I was feeling that. And I know that even in our telepathy, because we've had incredible telepathy for years, and even at a conscious level, if like even in a conscious level, he's not aware of it, it's there, and he speaks to me so much, it's ridiculous. He's in a beautiful, unbelievable, ridiculous way, ridiculously beautiful, and he has helped me so much on my path, especially over the last few years. So I think it's more to be open to it and don't block your divine partner in any way. Don't block any telepathy. Don't block any understanding of it. Don't think, oh, you know, I have to just forget about this, or I have to whatever. Don't. This is who you are. This is who you are here to be. Let me just check my notes to see if there's anything else I wanted to say. Yeah, I did actually, just speaking more about my book, I have written down here, I always did know of a higher power, and I did, but I didn't share it through fear of judgment from others. And that's kind of what really knocked it out for me too the other day when I saw this film. It's like, wow, I know this stuff, like I've lived with this my whole life, but why aren't I out there sharing my experiences more in a dynamic way, more powerful? You know, I know my book, when I wrote my book, I knew it was going to be a movie. I was shown that just the first couple of chapters in, but yet I could sit here and say, why has my book been more successful and things like that? And that's because I myself wasn't energetically and emotionally and probably spiritually ready for it to be out there more on that higher levels of experiencing that, because there's a lot of messages in there. There's a lot of very sacred messages in my book about these sorts of things. And if I guess if I still had any part of me that was concerned or in fear of people judging me like they did as a child, then that was, you know, I had to further heal that wound. So, and don't get caught up too much on the healing aspect, like I've said, in the last couple of videos. Yes, we need to heal, but please don't sit in that narrative every day, day in, day out, because that's what we put out, obviously, is what comes back to us. Whatever thoughts we have, we are creating, and that is what's manifesting into our reality, into our physical world. So I think that's it. Was there anything else I had to share? Oh, my solar plexus. I feel like I've got this burping coming up. It's my solar plexus releasing. And I also feel like it's a bit of my throat chakra as well, because I'm really speaking out about this stuff now. So it's really time to step in to the feeling, not the thinking. Get out of our heads and just really embrace your light and realize that magnetically what is showing up in your connection is what you are, is how you are feeling inside. And have that deeper awareness to go in and feel that, not be in denial of that or push it away, or just really own it and step into it and claim it and be it. And think, okay, well, if I'm not opening up, if my heart's still a bit closed, if I'm not opening up to the support from my beautiful beloved, and the love, and to just say, you know what, come on, fuck it, like this is it, if you're not in that energy of, then you go, okay, well, why aren't I opening to it? What don't I still trust about him or because if you don't trust him, you don't trust yourself. Everything is that mirror. And I think a lot of the feminine want to say all the time, they want to blame the masculine and say, okay, well, it's the other person. I guess no matter whether it's the male or feminine, they want to blame the divine partner. But if the divine partner is acting a certain way, then that is a reflection of how you are acting as well internally, or what's going on with you. So it's very important to remember that, and not just sit there and think, oh, I'm up here on my throne and I'm okay and I've got it all happening, I'm in my sovereignty and I'm just going to sit and wait around. Because if you're in that energy, then it's not going to happen, because you clearly, or I don't want to put out the it's not going to happen, but it's probably unlikely it will happen, because there's something in you that is still not fully in that vibrational alignment of attracting the masculine to you in the physical from your magnetic feminine. So I think that could be it now. Oh, no, I know what else I was going to say. I said it at the start and I said I would say it at the end, or I'd explain a couple of examples of it. And so what I was going to explain is I wanted to talk about, just very briefly, extending on what I've been talking about, connection, is for the feminine and masculine to realize how very much the thoughts that they have goes through to the other partner. And even if the other partner doesn't know it's coming from them on a conscious level, it is coming through to them. And I'll explain a couple of situations. I mean, oh gosh, I could write a book actually with some of the with the things that have happened like that with us. But I want to share this one that will really help people see, because you can share and people go, yeah, okay, and do they really believe it? But when it actually shows up and happens tangibly in the physical, then people go, oh wow, holy fuck. So I was sitting on the couch one day and I was looking, this was a few years ago, and I was looking on I was on Instagram, I was on social media then, I'm not on now and haven't been on for a while, but back then I used to be on social media. And I remember looking at his Instagram and saying, oh wow, he hasn't put a sunset on for a couple of months, because he usually puts a lot of nature shots on. My beautiful beloved is so very much connected to nature. He's a real outdoorsy person and loves outdoor activities, and just really always has to, well, I'm not actually sure if he still does it now, to be honest, but he always had to take time to himself to go out in nature and to be in nature. And whether that was, a run or on the bike or whatever it is, it was always like, coming back to that, like being out in nature and coming back to that is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, something else just came through that I was going to say when I was saying that. But yes, so he's very, very connected to nature, even more so than I was. I have really developed that, being my deeper connection with Mama Gaia, Mama Earth, over the last couple of years, really grounding in, and that I've always kind of struggled a little bit to ground into this earth, because it was so foreign to me to be on planet Earth. It wasn't really a favorite of mine, but anyway, I'm so blessed and honored and grateful to be here, and so passionate to be here for what I've come to do. Anyway, it's another story, and we're not getting into me, but so he's always into nature and loves just sunsets and sunrises and nature pics. And so I was sitting here thinking, and I said out loud, he hasn't put a sunset on for a couple of months. So I put my phone down and off I went, and I came back later, and I couldn't even tell you how long it was. It was no longer than a couple of hours. And I picked up and had a look, and he had uploaded a sunset on Instagram. And that's how connection works. I'm not saying he physically heard me consciously say that, like saying over there, oh, I just heard Kel say that I hadn't put a sun. No. But at a higher level, he was guided through hearing my thoughts to put that on. And he, we were at opposite sides of the country, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, when you're connected to somebody like that deepest connection that is you, and you share a soul, you share a consciousness. And I think that is not really being explained to people on this path so much. And I tried to explain that to people years ago when I was coaching, and I don't know if it was something they could really grasp. And it's actions as well. So another situation was, I had his photo in a photo frame, and I have shared this one before, beside my bed. And I woke up one morning and I looked at it, and something had changed, and like in the energy, and I just knew, my higher self said to me, you're holding him in that energy. And it was a beautiful picture. It was my favorite picture of him, but it was when he was younger, and he had evolved and changed, like I had gone through dark nights of the soul, and obviously evolved and changed through energy, and we weren't in that energy anymore. Yet I was guided and shown that I was keeping him in that energy by having that picture there. Because, and I have shared this years ago too, how we can hold our divine beloved in the same energy. They can do it to us, we can do it to them, through different ways like that. So through our thoughts, through living in the past, through photographs, through everything. So, because it's where we focus our energy, and that's, what we focus on is where the energy goes. So, and that's the timelines we take. So anyway, I said, oh, wow, you're so right. Like, I am. So I took this photo down and I put it away, and off I went. And I must have, not long after again, I looked on his Instagram, not even thinking that photo would have any effect. So I was really shocked at what I saw. So on his Instagram, the actual profile picture that he had at the time was the actual picture that I had in the frame. And he didn't know that I had a picture of him in a frame, that same picture, and that I carried that with me when I travelled as well. He didn't know that. I'd not shared that with him. But he had that. I'd noticed that that was his profile picture as well. And he could have had hundreds of pictures to choose from that he chose for his profile picture, but he had that one. So I took this photo frame down and put it away. And not long after, when I looked at his Instagram, he had actually changed his profile picture, removed that one, and he'd put a current picture of what he looked like then, you know, in that present moment on his profile. And it was a very different picture. And if you could see the pictures, you'd go, wow, very distinctly. This one, yes, it's a gorgeous picture, but he looks a lot younger. This one, he's like a real older man, you know, and that showed to me not just age, but it showed to me that it was about maturity and stepping up into your power more, and you know, really stepping into how you feel, because I know he feels and has always felt older, because that he did share with me in the physical. So I always knew energetically and what I saw in the physical that he was a wise old man, but he actually shared with me once that he felt way beyond his years, and he kind of had struggled to fit in to like the body, like he felt like he was an old person in a younger body, which a lot of old souls do feel like that. I know I felt like that. So yeah, it's so those were two amazing things that happened that I wanted to share, and that is because I want you to realize that every thought you have, you know, just be careful, because what you're thinking and what you're doing, you're sharing a consciousness, and that's going through to them. And when you're having thoughts of like, oh, I don't trust them, they know that. Oh, I'm in doubt of this, they know that. Oh, I'm in fear of that, they know that. Whatever it is, you know, I'm still stuck in these limiting beliefs and old patterns and paradigms. I don't feel limitless, I feel limited. You know, I'm stuck in the unworthiness of whatever it is. They feel that, and you will reflect that to them as well. So then they will be in those same energetic frequencies, exactly like I just explained. The sunset, the picture, the profile picture. So it is really astounding, you know, how it shows up in the physical. A lot of people talk about the energy of this and energetically and telepathy and all of that, and yeah, that's true. However, you can see it reflect in the physical world as well. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, because they just think, oh, I'm trying to manifest these situations, whether it's a divine union, whether it's abundance, whether it's a new job or a new house, a new car, a new relationship, a new love, or whatever. But hang on, how come it's not coming? So I'm not going to get into that whole energetic manifestation situation, but when you are divinely connected, in connection, and how you show up in that connection is just so very important. It's everything, because how you show up in that connection is how they show up in that connection. And so it comes back to the connection to yourself first, and then that carries through to the connection of you together. And I guess, you know, that's just what I wanted to share as well. And I think I've probably shared enough now, well and truly. Well and truly. So, you know, I didn't want this to go too long, because I always think sometimes less is more, and my beautiful beloved always keeps things simple, and he loves to keep things simple, and he's always telling me telepathically, keep it simple, Cal. You know, don't try and analyze everything so much. Keep it simple. And I've had to practice that and really step into that. But there are some times where I think it's necessary to share a lot of impactful, beautiful wisdom and powerful divine light and energy to help others. And I don't know when I'll do the next the next video. I will say, however, I actually was going to do this video as a face-to-face one. But then I thought, you know what, I don't want people to be distracted about, like, I find myself getting distracted in videos sometimes when I'm watching someone, like, oh, they're a nice pair of earrings, or look at that beautiful necklace she's wearing, or, you know, or he looks super cool, you know, dressed like, or whatever, or how, and I just, sometimes I get distracted and I've got to rewind and think, oh, hang on, I missed that. What did they say? So, whereas when I'm listening to just an audio podcast, I really get right into it. And I know everybody learns differently and listens differently. And some people like the real visual face-to-face. But in this one, I just felt that I didn't want people to get caught up in, you know, the appearance, and just to hear the words and hear the connection and feel the connection and feel the light and feel that deeper energy, the power of it. And so that's why I thought I would do it this way. But I'm just going to finish by repeating what I said at the start. When we have no fear of if others believe our experiences or the stories that we've had and we can share, then we can fully embrace it, own it, and reach people authentically with it 100%. And that's serving the light, that is serving the divine, it's serving God, it's serving the higher power. It's also serving yourself, because you are that. You are all that. And so don't forget to be that and step into that. And people will know if you're fearing it. And that's when they probably don't really fully connect with you, or where they don't really fully believe, or they go, oh, you're okay. And I know that's probably, you know, something that I could have definitely improved on over the years. If I'm coming into a situation with any fear around, is this person going to believe me or not? Then that's the energy we put out, and that's exactly what people feel, whether it's from a conscious level or not. And whatever situation you're in with your divine beloved, and if they're with somebody else, in another relationship, or off on their own, or whatever they're doing, realize within forgiveness that we all have been over time in different consciousnesses when we're going through things, different consciousness levels. I know I have. I know I've done some things where I'd go, oh my God, I wish I knew that back then. I wish I was at this level back then. I wish I didn't make that, you know, mistake back then, or whatever. But it is what it is, and you have to forgive yourself as well. You know, it's not just as forgiving them, but forgive yourself as well, because I know what I have in my reality presently is a full manifestation of my own internal doing, of what I have ran from, or not faced, or not healed, or what I've judged myself with, or a limiting belief, or whatnot. And and I know for me, you know, I can sit here all day long and talk about, but I'm not going to, things that I've learnt now from that, and how that then created that reality in my life and over the last several years, you know. And so forgiveness is the key. And what they're doing, again, it's whatever consciousness you're in is the consciousness level they're going to be in. And yes, there is a lot of interference out there, and we hear a lot of videos about interference over the years. But I've always known that although we can have a lot of interference, and we have, my divine beloved and I, in our union, we definitely have had a lot of interference from external sources, not always wanting the best and the highest path for us, always having their own agendas or jealousy or, needing to fill their own cup or controlling or whatever. We've both been through that. We've both been people pleasers and really been entangled in others with codependency and things like that. But it's, again, the reflection. But no matter what's gone on, that's the consciousness level that we've been in at that time, and we're always having new awareness of how to step out of that and into the higher new earth frequencies of that higher divine sacredness, that sacred love, in being able to embody that. These divine connections come with incredible divine sacred sexuality, which is the highest frequency. And when we can't be in that love of ourselves, it's hard to, to have done our work, to be in that full-blown sacred sexuality of that, openly, nakedly, transparently, crystal clear. So that's what I just wanted to share, and lots of things to look at there, I guess. But I'm going to go now, and I guess I'll talk to you all some other time. And for those beautiful, sensitive empaths out there like myself, I feel you, I see you, I know what it's like to be a sensitive empath my whole life, and that's what's got me into some pickles, and what has got me into running, and has got me into a lot of other things. And we can feel, because obviously that's what we do, we feel others' energies and they affect us, and we can be a little bit very sensitive to that, and naive and gullible at the time. And but like I said, whatever has gone on and whatever you have copped from that, just have to know your own divine power and step into that, and your own light, and reflect that. So, all right. Take care, everyone, and sending you so much love and divine light. And talk to you soon. Bye.